Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. The President has directed the Inspector General of Police and other security agencies to take all necessary action to ensure the safe and speedy rescue of the former Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Chief Olufalaye. Chief Falaye was abducted from his farm on Monday by suspected herdsmen who are demanding a 100 million naira ransom for his release, although it was reduced to 90 million. A statement by the presidency says that President Muhammadu Buhari condemned the callous and reprehensible kidnapping of the former secretary to the government of the Federation. President Buhari is assuring that Chief Falaye's family, friends and other concerned Nigerians that the federal government will do all within its power to ensure his swift release. Now, the CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele, at the end of the Monetary Policy Committee meeting, expressed fears that the economy may slip into recession in 2016 if proactive steps are not taken to revive the growth of key sectors of the economy. This position not only frightened some economists but also many other Nigerians, as this may mean a near collapse of the system. But some have raised hope that despite the challenges, the prediction of the CBN governor may not come to pass. To examine this further, I'm now being joined on the News at 10 by an economist, Mr. Boniface Chizia. Thanks a lot for joining us on the News at 10.
Thank you, Joma, for having me. Yes.
Now, you've heard the CBN governor's position, or his prediction, shall we say. What do you make of it?
Well, I don't know if it's a prediction. I think what he's reading the handwriting on the wall. And what is happening is that if you look at the data on the GDP, which aggregates economic performance, within the economy, the National Bureau of Statistics puts the rate of growth for this year at 2.6. It was 6 point something last year, and if you track, the rate of this growth between the two last quarters, it's been on a downward trend. So it doesn't take any rocket science, to begin to say that we might enter into a recession. If you look at the rate of inflation, it's an increase, and so it's not maybe a prediction, but I think that is a trend that anybody could just see. If you look at it very well, you see the trend as it's going. And what the CBN governor has tried to do is to raise the red flag, to say that wait a minute, we better buckle up. Get going and make sure that something is done, otherwise, we'll get into a recession.
Let's just look at some of the reasons that he's basing his fears on. I'm going to read out some of his statement there. He had hinged it on the implementation of the Treasury single account, loans to oil and gas sectors, all of which he says could aggravate liquidity conditions in the banks and impair their financial intermediation role. Do you agree?
Yeah, to some extent. I think that also it's good for us to bring in the fact that we also have to make sure that the fiscal policies would kick in. It's very important. What's happened is that we've run with monetary policies, and there's a limit, to what the central bank will do. So we need to make sure that we also get fiscal policy kick in, so that if you look at economic agents, both outside this country and within the country, there's a bit of sort of people are on bated breath. They are waiting to see what policies government is going to come with. I know, of course, we are assured, because the president has said that we're expecting in a few days' time that he's going to put his team in place.
Do you think it's taking too long for us to see this team and clear policy direction? A lot of people are anxious, particularly those who keep giving us these types of economic forecasts. Is it taking them too long, do you think, to have a clear economic policy direction?
Well, I think that the president, when he went to America, wrote an article, was published, and where he actually said, was going to put a team in place in September. And so that's the president's decision, and he has his best reasons, for wanting to do this. But then also he did say that even Barack Obama also, took some time to. But some people have said that Barack Obama, even before he's being sworn in, appointed his chief of staff. And so the president has announced, that by come this month, September, he's going to put his team in place. So we'd expect that this month has 3 more days, to run. Okay. And so we believe that if it also, we believe he's going to do so, because I believe he's a man of his word. And if it also, then we'd expect that the team will get to work. We'll begin to have new policies to drive the economy.
What measures would you like to see in place exactly?
Well, I think that's essentially where this is something that's, I think there's a consensus that we need to make sure that the economy needs to be reflated. We need to make sure that we reflate the economy. We need to make sure that we grow jobs. And so it means that we have to go out there and then try and do some spending. I keep on citing the example of Barack Obama. Barack Obama, when he came to governance in 2008, the American economy had the worst recession in fact for quite some time. And Barack Obama, everybody was concerned, and we were worried that, how come the first time a black man, gets into a White House and he's going to be faced with this sort of challenge. But then he came and he found his way through it. Even he made sure that companies that were having problems, that they were not shut, he bailed them out, and even
you see our government doing that?
Yeah, government will have to do it. And I think that this government's already, there are indications. The vice president is on record to have said that we're going to do free meals at schools, and so I'm going to hand in monies and so on and so forth. So we expect there's going to be some, social safety nets that we're going to kick in as soon as we start. What we expect is that as we do this, we make sure that we do our sums right, so that we don't get ourselves into a pit and begin to get into things that might tax our budget, and find that we'll start what we're not able to finish.
All right, Mr. Boniface Chizia, thank you so much for joining us on the News at 10 tonight.
For having me. Thank you.
Indeed. Now let's return to the Salah celebrations. As Muslims celebrate Eid al-Kabir, the police and government at all levels are assuring of adequate security of lives and property. However, a cross-section of shoppers complain of high costs of commodities as ram sellers cope with unimpressive sales.
Muslim faithful across the country prepare for the 2015 Eid al-Kabir celebration. In the northern part of the country, the Kaduna state government has banned all forms of social gatherings to forestall any attack on the residents as witnessed in the past. Much the same is the situation in Borno State, where all forms of vehicular movement has been restricted. This is Nasarawa State, north-central Nigeria. Residents of Lafia, the state capital, complain that high prices of rams and foodstuff has worsened their purchasing power. Most of the ram markets here experience low patronage.
A lot of people cannot afford to buy what they want for Salah because there is no salary. Had it been there is salary, people can be able to buy a lot of things for their family.
Here again in Kwara State, preparations are in top gear. And again, security is the watchword. The State Police Command says it is deploying about 2,000 of its men to ensure the security of lives and property.
We are arranging security or strategy on ground to make sure that all public places are well policed. All places of rendezvous are all well policed.
However, religious leaders have called for piety, total obedience to God, and fear of Allah as the best way to mark the occasion.
Anything that you can worship has no meaning apart from Almighty Allah, and complete submission to Him is the being that we are talking about.
And with these assurances coming from concerned authorities, one may expect Muslims across the country to experience a hitch-free celebration during the festivities.
Now, Magbon Alade community, one of the numerous fishing communities on the Ibejuleki coastline, is home to numerous fishermen from other West African countries. Most of the residents make a living from fishing. However, they believe despite their economic importance, they are being neglected by the government. On our community report tonight, our correspondent Chris Elems takes us to Magbon Alade fishing community.
Now you're talking.
Magbon Alade, one of the many fishing communities along the Eleko coastline, has three quarters, namely Ipatun, where the first settlers from Ile-Ife stayed, Oketun, and Ituanga. The first settlers here are Yorubas of Ijebu extraction, believed to have migrated from Ile-Ife. Today, the community is populated by people from different nationalities, including Togo, Cameroon, and Ghana. These colorful boats are indication of the presence of other nationalities.
The major occupation of Magbon Alade is fishing. It's fishing. But when people begin to grow older and they don't go to sea again, they employ the service, or let me put it that way, of the Ghanaians. So the Ghanaians that go to sea to fish for them, they buy from the Ghanaians, and their wife to buy, to sell, to eat out of it, and that is the major occupation.
The children also play a major role in helping the various nationalities here coexist amicably.
The young ones have learned the languages of these our visitors, let me put it that way. The Ghanaians, the Togolese, all these others. So from there, we were able to interact with the Ghanaians very fluently through the young ones that quickly catch up their languages.
For the people here to get their daily dose of water supply, they have to rely on sachet water, which has caused an upsurge in waste generated. And for a few others, the wells dug around the community is the last resort. Magbon Alade, as other communities along the coastal area of Ibejuleki, has not had a fair share of power supply for over 3 years and counting. And the people hope this scourge will be over soon.
The darkness over 5 years. We beg Lagos to make help us about the lights. But after like 1 week now, 2 weeks, governor come around for Lekki. He tell us, by the grace of God, go do the light for us.
It's time for the fishermen to start returning, and the beach is becoming crowded as buyers come from different areas to come see what the day holds for them. The fishermen begin jumping off the boat and then swim ashores with their catch. On arrival, the sorting process begins and buyers go into intense negotiations. It's a beehive of activities right here at the Magbon Alade beach, and this is how it usually is at this time of the day when the fishermen return from the fishing expedition. But today it doesn't seem like they had a lot of catch today because the water, it's a bit turbulent. But all the same, I got this, and I hope these buyers would be able to also go home with something. The day's routine gradually winds down, and the smaller boats are taken off the water. The men have put in their best into the day's business, whether the catch is much, less, or even none, as the case sometimes gets. For them, tomorrow presents another opportunity. Chris Lamps, Channels Television News.
Etisala, now you're talking.
When the news at 10 returns, Governor of Anambra State purchases speedboats for teachers and pupils in riverine schools in Anambra State. You join us again.